Highballs and cocktails, the long and short of it. That's a pun. And punsters should be punished. For tomorrow may bring sorrow, so tonight let us be gay.
We're going to talk about a movie today that has the happiest marriages, one of the happiest marriages that has ever been captured in the history of film. In this marriage, there is not an angry word, and if there is, they're only teasing. They're only kidding each other. And then they make a little expression at each other to show that they're only kidding. Also, in this movie, that we're going to be talking about, as well as being famous for its happy marriage, it is famous for the most drinking, some of the most drinking you have seen on camera since the Lost Weekend.
Say, how many drinks have you had?
This will make 6 martinis.
All right. Will you bring me 5 more martinis? Leo, line them right up here.
Yes, ma'am.
Puts me in the mood, you know. Now, this movie came out the year following the end of Prohibition. Came out in 1934. Prohibition ended 1933. Everybody is making up for all that lost time, trying to do all the drinking that they didn't get to do in the past years in this movie, right? So this couple, haven't told you their names yet. You're gonna find out. They have witty repartee about drinking part of the time.
My wife's on a bender. I'm trying to sober her up. Oh, waiter, drinks, please.
Into the kitchen, son, and thaw out some ice.
Grandma, what large glasses you have.
Say, listen, is he working on a case?
Yes.
What
yes.
case?
A case of scotch.
And the director, W.S. Van Dyke, he hired a married couple. Interesting that he hired a married couple, Francis Goodrich and Albert Hackett. And he told them, don't worry too much about getting Dashiell Hammett's book exactly right, page by page. What I care about is the conversation, the sense of play, the sense of mischief. I want it fast. I want it witty. That's what matters to me in this movie. So you're going to see drinking, witty repartee, a lot of wealth. Oh my goodness, the wealth. The Depression was going on. You know what? In the Depression, people didn't want to be more depressed than they already were. Some of them, did not want to go see movies that reminded them of their lousy lives. They wanted to go to the movies to see lives that they would never live. Nobody's ever lived lives like this. So another thing about this marriage that is not disturbed by anything, even when there's a hangover, by the way. The hangovers are fun because one of them gets to comfort the other, nurse the other.
What hit me?
The last martini. How about a little pick-me-up?
No!
Come up with a remedy for their hangover, and they get to say witty and playful things about the hangover. But also, there is one thing that disturbs the marriage a little bit. A murder. There's a murder. But it doesn't disturb the marriage all that much. Really, it doesn't at all. In fact, it's fun. Everything is fun between Nick and Nora Charles. Even a murder. And oh, let me count. 2. See, got that wrong. There were 2. 3. Okay, 3 little murders. Every one of them more fun than the last one.
Doc, how long would you say this body'd been here?
And Dora persuades Charles, who has given up his detective business for a while, to manage Nora's great wealth, because when they got married, well, she had to have somebody to manage her financial concerns, her land, her properties, her stocks and bonds. So he's been doing that. But she would like to see him in action. She would like to see him solve some murders the way he used to solve the murders before he started managing her financial concerns. There's this fabulous scene in here where finally she persuades him to solve these murders, and they just go skipping out the door together. Got a little bit of a skip in their step, if you'll notice. It sort of reminded me of the Cowardly Lion and the Tin Man, and was there another one, and Dorothy skipping down road to Oz. That kind of feeling, you know? So. There's also a little dog in this movie. Haven't yet told you the name of the movie, so maybe you don't all know yet. But here's another clue. There's a little dog in this movie, and the dog's name is Asta. This dog becomes a very popular dog. It's such a smart dog, and because they have the perfect marriage, they also have the perfect dog. This dog, I bet when you walk this dog, it cleans up after himself. He is so perfect. But, of course, it's not really Asta. It's another dog who is playing Asta, doing a good job, well-cast dog. And the real dog's name, I forget the name of the real dog's name, but I think it's something like Skippy, but you should fact-check me on that. What else do I need to tell you about this? Oh, I think I need to talk about how even though this marriage seems like such a fantasy to me, to just about everybody, for that day, for 1934, it was fairly, they thought, realistic to whose marriage, I don't know, but it went farther than most movies had gone in capturing, it might be little secret jokes that couples have between each other, a sense of history, the way they make those little expressions at each other, like little signals, the way they talk when they're going to bed.
I'm glad you're not on this case.
On it, I'm in it. They think I did it.
Well, didn't you?
Oh, and I know what I forgot to tell. I've been sitting here thinking, I am forgetting something. And I better tell you now, because if I have a couple more of these, I'm going to forget a lot more than I've already forgotten. This is a Precode movie. Precode. That means no censorship much. I mean, there might have been some things I had to think about. Couldn't have nudity or something like that. But they still had to have separate beds, the husband and the wife. I think you all know about how when the code came in, the Hays Code, and movies were restricted, one of the most famous things that could not happen in the movies was if the wife and the husband were sitting on the bed together, one of them always had to have both of them. Both of them had to have one foot on the floor. Saturday Night Live did a funny sketch about that once. But their discussion gets a little saucy.
I was shot twice in the Tribune.
I read where you were shot 5 times in the tabloids.
It's not true. He didn't come anywhere near my tabloids.
You got a pistol permit?
No.
Ever heard of the Sullivan Act?
Oh, that's all right. We're married.
Precode. Okay, so Depression era, Precode, somewhat refreshing for its day and an absolute escape from the misery outside. Men standing in soup lines, wives, mothers trying to stretch a few spuds, little potatoes, and some sausage meat into a meal for 5. That's what we're talking about here today. We're also gonna talk about a poem about a love I believe in. The other one's a fantasy, come on. This one is a real love poem, inspired by noir. There's parts of the noir scenario this poet, he can get along without, like the murders. You don't have to really have some murders. You don't really have to have some murders and a husband to solve the murders in order to have a lot of variety in your marriage after all. So this poet is Ron Koertge, Poet Laureate of South Pasadena, South Pasadena's first Poet Laureate, and he has had more than a dozen books of poetry. Some of his most recent books of poetry are Fever and Yellow Moving Van, and he's been featured in Ted Kooser's American Life and Poetry, too. He does interesting things. Been around for a long time in this town. I like to call LA a town. Makes me feel kind of sophisticated. Makes me feel like a real city would have to be bigger than this one for me, you know. This poem is called Silk. I think you'll see the ways that it does and does not relate to the movie we just talked about. Have I told you the name of the movie yet? I'm not sure. You know what? I don't think I did. The movie's called The Thin Man. The first in a series of movies called The Thin Man. William Powell, the actor who plays Nick Charles, he's not the Thin Man. No, you're going to have to watch the movie to find out who is the real Thin Man. Silk. You wear a dangerous nightgown like the women in movies I adore. Swanky white telephones, 38s in the end table beside the bed. I'd be a terrible gangster. I can't stand being away from you, so no shootouts and car chases. Somebody else would have to handle the snitches, finks, blabbermouths, and double-crossers, while I ran a bubble bath and found something on the radio that you could sing along with. I don't think wise guys would understand until I showed them a picture of you in that nightgown. How it picks up the light, slips off one shoulder. Ron Koertge. Go buy his books. See the movie. You know, that's all I got. The only thing I've got left in the whole world is a little alcohol left in this glass. Hey, things could be worse. Good night, ladies. Good night, gentlemen. And remember, watch your back, look both ways, and don't let anybody treat you like you're two for a dime.